A media statement from the City of Cape Town late yesterday saying that yesterday, the Mayco approved the initiation of a public participation process to release the iconic Good Hope Centre site for redevelopment to unlock its immense economic potential while promoting the heritage of this mother city landmark. The proposal now advances to the City Council on 5 December for authorisation to commence public participation. Proposed features are a pedestrian-friendly forecourt, ground floor retail spaces, residential and commercial units, structured underground parking to maximise land use. James Voss says revitalising the Good Hope Centre through private sector investment is critical to preserving its legacy, blah, 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 blah. Currently, the Good Hope Centre site is leased on a month-to-month basis, generating 520,000 rand per month. However, private sector involvement is required to sustainably unlock the site's immense economic potential through mixed-use development. And a reminder that it was created by Pier Luigi Nervi in 1976, he being a renowned modernist Italian architect. Guy Briggs is an urban planner and architect and joins us now. Guy, hello.
Hello, John. Great to talk to you again.
Is there anything in that building worth keeping?
That's a very good question. I know a lot of people think that it sticks out like a sore thumb, but as you've just mentioned, it is something that has significant architectural heritage. But I think that there's something much more important than that. It's also got amazing social heritage. You know, before it became relatively defunct and sort of sat for the last 10 years as a film studio, it was a nerve center for many communities across Cape Town with events and exhibitions and all sorts going on. And I think played a really important role in the social life of many of those communities. So, yes, I think there's a lot to preserve there.
Can one preserve that and at the same time do all of these other things to, according to the city, unlock the site's immense economic potential?
I think you can. It is a challenge. I need to make a declaration here. My practice, DHK, was actually involved a couple of years ago in looking at the building and giving the city some preliminary advice. So we know it reasonably well. And the work that we looked at examined a number of options. All of them come at some cost, and they deliver different benefits. And I'm very pleased that the city's now finally come out and is taking it to market and is going to proceed, because the work that we did really did demonstrate that there is the possibility of keeping at least the main hall and returning it to some kind of public function, and then creating a bunch of other uses on the site. There's quite a lot of space on the site that isn't really used very well at all right now. The open parking areas, the ancillary halls, etc.
So you would kind of fix what's there and use what's around what's there to add in all of these other things, the retail spaces, or the ground floor retail spaces could be around that central hall, the main hall, that lovely dome shape. And then residential and commercial units, I don't know, because can you keep those, what is so instantly recognizable about that building, those things that come down to the ground, those panels that come down to the ground?
That's the conundrum. You can, and you should, but not necessarily everywhere. So for me, the critical area for intervention is all along the Solari Road interface, where, you know, that part of Cape Town, you've got a vibrant bit of Woodstock to the east, and you've got a vibrant bit of city along Darling Street to the west. But around Good Hope Centre, it really has fallen into largely disuse and decline, and it's a large factor there has been the lack of any public-facing activity in the Good Hope Centre. So if one can create a strip along that Solari Road edge that engages with the street, that brings the opportunities for shops, for workspace, for new homes. And then on the more difficult edges on the north and the west, where you've got Newmarket Street and you've got Christian Barnard, which are both high capacity, high speed traffic arteries, you retain its architectural legacy. And that, of course, is also where it is best perceived as an architectural landmark. So I think there is a both and here that can be achieved.
Can you do this without going up? Because it's it's a hole, and if you chop off the top of it in order to build more floors where you can allow more spaces for people to live, you make it look incredibly different, unrecognizable almost.
Potentially. There are numerous examples around the world where much lower buildings are preserved in the midst of taller buildings. Be it New York or London instantly spring to mind. A classic in London, of course, is St. Paul's Cathedral, which is surrounded by all sorts of very high-rise buildings, but the specific views of the iconic dome are preserved from various locations. And so it retains its dominance and its presence in the city. I'm not saying that one would necessarily go a super high-rise immediately adjacent to the Good Hope Centre, but I think the principle is that one could do so without necessarily detracting from its presence in the city.
But I didn't explain myself well. You would have to build around it, next to it. You couldn't build on top of the structure that is already there, or could you? You couldn't.
In theory, you could.
But you wouldn't want to.
But you wouldn't want to, because if you're going to preserve it as an architectural landmark, leave it alone. If you're not going to preserve it as an architectural landmark by obscuring it with some other stuff, rather knock it down and start again, because that would be a lot more efficient.
Oh, it's going to be interesting. Guy, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate your time. Guy Briggs, urban planner and architect. And so this goes to the City Council on the 5th of December. I'm pretty certain that given the DA's majority there, it will be approved. And as soon as that is done and the public participation process, I know that there are cynical people already listening to saying, what public participation? They're just ticking the boxes. But there we go. We'll keep track of it.